Hello, everyone. How's it going? Hope everyone's having a good day. We as humans, unfortunate things are always going to happen to us, and we're always trying to constantly, find meaning in things, or we want to instantly react to something. Let's say, for example, you could lose money. Like, say you invest into a stock or Bitcoin. Say you put 20 grand into Bitcoin, it drops down 30%, you lose 6 grand overnight. Or you invest into a stock and you lose money. You know, you get a girlfriend, she ends up breaking your heart, she gets a new guy, and then you're asking yourself these questions, and we get upset over things, or like you'll fail a test, we'll get upset over things. It's guaranteed as a human to be upset over things. And I think most people, essentially everyone, right? We're going to have terrible things happen to us in our lives. We're going to be stressed. We're going to be depressed for a lot of our lives, honestly, especially if you have a lot going on. And sometimes we don't really understand things, right? So, say for example, you lose money, you fell out of business, and you're extremely frustrated and you're angry, you're trying to find meaning in it. I think perhaps the best way that I've learned to deal with things is, instead of, being angry or being frustrated or thinking you need to get back at someone for something, I think the best possible mental frame is basically just to say, you know what, I don't necessarily understand why this happened to me, but I'm just going to choose to move on and close the door anyway. Like, let's say, for example, you're in love with the girl for like 6 months, you end up dating, she does something, ends up breaking your heart, she starts dating a new guy, and you start hearing rumors that she told everyone that you were a terrible person and the new guy's making fun of you, etc., etc. So you're obviously feeling insecure, you're thinking about, oh, she's a terrible person, you're thinking about ways so you can get back at people, and you couple that in, and it also makes your personal life better. Like, say you're angry about a situation, right? It literally makes your personal life worse. Like, if you're going to school, it literally makes focusing on school more difficult. If you're at work, it literally makes the workday more hard. And I think most of us kind of understand, if you want to get over something, like, the best mental frame when you're upset about something is apathy, right? Like, say for example, you're upset about a girl. Instead of saying, I just want to forget about it, I just want to forget about it, bro, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. Like, if you end up trying to you're gonna end up trying to block her on social media, but you're still feeling the urges to like check her profiles on like fake accounts and stuff. Like, bro, like, that's not how you help yourself get over a situation. The best mental frame is just being completely apathetic, which just means being completely uninterested in a situation. Let's say, for example, like, a lot of guys, they have like the struggle of like watching porn, like they're addicted to watching porn. Like, these dudes, they'll try to like install like browser blockers on their computer, so like they can't search up like Pornhub, but like none of that helps. Like, you genuinely just have to get to a point where you just don't think about it. Like, that's really the only cure. Like, you trying to block a girl on social media and just telling yourself 25 times a day not to think about her or to not think about something isn't really going to help the problem. You need to just become completely disinterested in it. Like, you need to become literally disinterested to the point where you don't even really think about it. Like, when you just hear her name, you just don't really care. And that's really difficult to do, especially if something is really bothering you, right? But that's truly where you need to get to. And I don't know, I've just kind of learned to tell myself, like, let's say for example, you lose money, a girl breaks your heart, you lose a job, you fail a test, even if you tried your absolute best, and you just genuinely can't understand. You're like, I tried my absolute best, why did it not work out? The only thing that you can do in that situation is just to say, you know what, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, you just genuinely, you have to say, I don't perhaps understand why this happened to me. I don't understand it. Maybe I never will. But I'm just going to close the door and decide to move on anyway. kind of just like a wise grandfather. You know, when something happens, you know, you just kind of say, you know what, I don't understand it. I tried my absolute best. I treated that girl as best as I possibly could, and it just didn't work out. Maybe perhaps she lied to me. Maybe perhaps, you know, there were things that I could have evaluated better beforehand. But regardless, at the time, I just don't understand. I don't understand why this happened to me. I don't know why God made me crash my car. I don't know why God made me lose my job. I don't understand right now. But I'm still going to decide to close the door and move on anyway and move on. That's the best mental frame. What are you going to do? You're going to sit there for the rest of today just thinking about the situation. You're going to drive yourself crazy. That's never going to help. And then, you know, when you're really upset about something, like let's say something terrible happens to you today, you're not going to necessarily know why and understand the situation today. But, you know, a year from now, looking back at it, you'll be able to say, you know what, maybe I need to, you know, say, for example, behave more appropriately in a work setting, right? Maybe I need to learn to background check a girl's past better before I seriously commit to her emotionally, right? You know, maybe I should do my due diligence more before I end up investing into something, right? If it's a financial investment. But, you know, the next time something bad, terrible happens to you, let's say you're heartbroken over a girl, you lose your job, you failed at something, and if you felt like you tried your absolute best, the best mental frame is literally just said, you know, I don't understand why this happened to me. I'm not saying that it's fair. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that I agree that this should have happened to me, but I just don't understand. And that is the best mental model to approach things from, because if you end up starting getting angry about a situation, that doesn't benefit you at all. Like if you're just angry or you're upset or you get depressed, like it's no good for anyone. Like how is that going to help you? You're just going to end up, you know, let's say you get heartbroken by a girl, right? And you're angry about the situation and you're bitter and that becomes your entire personality, right? And you just stop trusting people. Then, you know, a couple months later, you might meet someone else that is really nice to you. And if you get into another relationship, you're just going to be putting that pain and trauma onto someone else that doesn't even deserve it, right? So you know, and the thing is understanding a situation isn't a requirement for moving on. You can literally say, yes, that person betrayed me. They betrayed my trust. At the time, I'm extremely upset. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. I don't understand why this happened to me. I don't know what God's plan or intention was that he wanted me to learn right now. But, you know, I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to move on with my life. And I'm just going to literally move on. And I'm just not going to think about it. And that is a much healthier mental frame than just saying, I'm going to try to forget about it. Because it's like, you're like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. But you're still thinking about it. When you approach it from this way, you're saying, you know what? Whatever, I don't care. It is what it is. Whatever. I might learn something about it new a couple weeks from now, but by then I'll be completely disinterested. I won't even care. And that's extremely mental model to live by. Absolutely. It's extremely healthy. So yeah. So if something terrible happens to you, you know, you just literally have to say, you know what? I don't know why this happened to me. I don't know why this person lied to me. I completely do not understand, but I'm just going to literally move on and make the best chess move on the board regardless. And life is essentially a game where you're continuously always trying to make the best move on the chessboard repeatedly. And very rarely, you know, is getting upset or being angry or belittling yourself over something that happened in the past ever going to help you. It's rarely ever the best move on the chessboard. The best move on the chessboard is always to be stoic, to control your emotions, and do what you're supposed to every single day, regardless of what happens to you.